yes, I'm sure I want to start streaming this event.
All right.
So.
And of course, right as you start streaming, my cat walks in.
Right. So. Okay, so yeah, I think we should be live now.
Awesome.
Hopefully we are. It says we've been live for 13 seconds. And it still doesn't give me the chat on this screen, so that's interesting.
I'm just now picking up an advertisement for the video.
Okay, cool. So, okay, here we go. So I got live chat in another tab now. So there's that.
That looks pretty good.
Awesome. Alright, well, if you guys are joining, hopefully this tweeted out. It should have automatically tweeted, but I'm not sure if it did or not. I guess I could check on my phone.
I just got done tweeting like 15 minutes ago saying, hey, we'll be live in about 15 minutes.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was a slacker and didn't do any tweeting before this, other than like several hours ago. Yeah, so if you guys if anybody's joined yet, I don't think anybody has, but this is Recycle Bin Episode 1.
Episode 1.
Yeah, it's the start of...
started it all.
The start of something great, or something that'll be awesome to watch burn and drop into flames.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So it did tweet out from my account the official We're Live link, so that's good to go. Alright guys, so the Recycle Bin live stream is going to be similar to like Awesome Hardware and Tech Talk, and I decided to go ahead and take over the Thursday night slot that Tech Talk was left open with, since Jay and Jerry have kind of disseminated that. And I don't think anybody's popped in to take that place. I'm sure there's some other YouTuber doing, Thursday night live streams. We're not the only person with the idea for a live stream, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
no, I highly doubt we are.
So Recycle Bin, I figured was a fitting name, because, all the tech shows that you watch, what do we all do? We go and find stories that other, actual media outlets have reported on, and then just kind of recycle that for something to talk about on our own streams. So, this is something that I thought would be kind of fun to do, just to kind of find, tech news and different gaming news, stuff like that, talk about it, kind of give our own opinions on it, and just give us a chance to kind of have a live interaction with each of our audiences. So, again, this is episode 1, first time we've done this, other than the really janky live stream we did yesterday, which you guys can pretend that never happened.
No structure, no nothing. Yeah.
So, we're gonna go ahead and kick this off. So, this week's gonna be on my channel, Tito TechTube. Next week it'll be on Bear's channel, if that's the case. And then we're gonna alternate like that back and forth. Kind of like Jay and Jerry tried to do for a little while, and it didn't really work out. So. Yeah,
I think it had something to do with Jerry's. What was it?
Yeah, it was
AdSense or something, right?
Yeah, it had to do with before they did Super Chat, when they had the donations in live chat, just regular donations. Right. Jerry's got broken, and so that's when they just decided to go and keep it all on Jay's channel.
Yep. And Jay kind of split it off.
Right.
Or did whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did.
Yeah. So. I think what they did, I think their solution was just to have Jerry just had his PayPal set up for donations, and that's how he, if anybody wanted to donate to him, that's how they did that.
Right.
But yeah, so like I said, every other week we're gonna rotate what we're doing. So I guess we'll go ahead and just do a quick round of introductions for each of us.
Okay.
So Bear, why don't you go ahead and go first, since probably most people that got this will be subscribers to my channel, because they all got the email and the pop-up notification there. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody what you're all about.
So I'm Bear with If That's the Case. At the door, you may not be able to hear, maybe you can, is my cat wanting in. The door is closed, and that's not usual. And then what I do is I do case reviews, and I go ahead and I just kind of do any sort of other tech thing that I really want. For the most part, I'm focusing on case reviews, as I said, and I just kind of have fun with it. So, how about you?
So yeah, I started, again, same thing. I'm into the tech stuff. I want to do tech videos, and I try and do kind of a spread of things, because that's the way I've always been. I've never been locked down on one thing, one hobby, one idea. So I started off, just grabbing whatever I could from work. I did a video on like a LifeProof case review for the LifeProof case they got me for my phone. I did one on an Anchor 5-port 60-watt charger. Just random stuff like that. That's how I started off. What kind of I guess, quote unquote, blew up the channel, right? The thing that I've had the most views for and got the most notoriety for is my 3DS videos. I did a couple on doing homebrew on the 3DS and getting Luma custom firmware set up on it, and that's where most of my subscribers have come from. And so I've been trying to kind of introduce some 3DS stuff along with the tech stuff that I do, since obviously I have an audience that is interested in that, and I care about what you guys are interested in and what you guys like and what you think. And so that's why I try and kind of build that bridge there. And one of the things that so I started watching video creators, a couple of his videos, Tim Schmoyer, and one of his things is, okay, you got to sit down and kind of have a value proposition and figure out, what do you really want to do? What do you want to accomplish with this? And I sat down and thought about it. It actually took me a couple of days to really come up with, why did I start doing this? I mean, really, when I started doing this, it was kind of just, me goofing around, having fun with it, but, it started to become something that I really like doing, and one of the things that I was thinking about was, PCMR, right? So PC Master Race. I've been a PC for a long time, but I grew up on consoles like most kids. We all grew up in this generation. We kind of all grew up on consoles, right? The NES, SNES, the PS1, all classics for us. And it kind of got me thinking about the whole PCMR versus console peasant and all the toxicity that exists in both environments, really. And my thing is, do what works for you. Who cares if you're on a console, if you're on PC, if you do both and you intermingle between the two. Each one has its perks, each one has its own benefits, and not everything's a perfect fit for everybody. So my kind of thing is, I want to be able to build a community where everybody can kind of, probably never happen, but where everybody can come together and just kind of share ideas and do whatever they want to do, and then not be judged for it. Why don't you build a PC, you console peasant? Or oh yeah, your $10,000 computer, or your $10,000 computer versus I spent $300 on this 1S and I can't see a difference. So how can you and it goes on and on and back and forth. And even within the PCMR space, right? You've got AMD versus Nvidia, AMD versus Intel, and there's so much just like hate that gets spit back and forth on that stuff that it's kind of irritating, honestly. So at some point, what I'd like to do is build a forum and just kind of try and keep the hate out, right? Just keep a good community together where everybody's just able to talk about the latest tech, the latest games, the latest whatever, and not have to worry about a bunch of trolls and minor trolling, trolling for in good fun kind of thing is fine, but again, just trying to keep the toxicity out of it, right?
Exactly, and that's kind of what I set my Discord server up to be, is just kind of like a, no matter what platform you're running, no matter what system you're running it off of, it's accepting, it's, hey, you're having fun doing what you're doing, I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, so why should it matter? I don't know. I think one of the main reasons that people are like, oh man, Intel's the greatest and AMD sucks, or AMD's awesome with GPUs and down with NVIDIA, is because they want to justify their purchasing history,
right? Or
their who they're loyal to, if you want to say that. So, and if I get like an AMD card, I'm going to want to say how great my AMD card is, but in reality, it's just another AMD card, and there's also NVIDIA cards.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. A lot of it is just kind of like you almost feel like you need to defend yourself for your choice, right? And so everybody gets really defensive about things rather than just, hey, this is what I chose, this is why I chose it, it's right for me, it's not right for everybody. That's great. You've got, you went with a 1060, I went with a 480. I personally have a 1060. I'm not going to hate on anybody for going with a 480. I mean, they're right there in that same, roughly the same price point. I think the 480 is a little cheaper than 1060. And, okay, the 1060 may do 5 or 6 FPS better in this game versus the 480 does a little bit better in that. Whatever. Personally, I went with the NVIDIA. I've been AMD for a long time. The current PC I'm running now is the first Intel NVIDIA PC I've had since like 2006.
Wow.
Between then and now, I had always been AMD. So Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about that PC. Actually, it was my first. It was a Celeron D and an 8800 GTS.
Right.
That was my
That's
first
right.
real gaming PC. If you can call Celeron D a real gaming PC, which I guess back then you could. But anywho, so right now I'm running an i5 6600 and a GTX 1060. But in between that time period, I ran everything from the Athlon X2 all the way up to the FX 8350, and everything from I think 4850 was my first AMD card, all the way up to the last AMD card I had was an R9 290. So I've kind of run the gamut of budget to high-end hardware, and because when I bought that 480 or 4850, it was actually I think two generations old before I ever got into that. I mean, I've always been really behind the curve on hardware. This is probably the most up-to-date, most recent system I've ever owned is the one I have now. So yeah, I got off on a random tangent there. So guys, get used to that. I am like the tangent master. So I kind of, as Jay would say, I digress, right? So I spend a lot of time editing. So live streaming is going to be hard for me to get used to, I think. But we'll work it out. So we've got.
I'm hoping that some of my stage skills that I have will help me with these live streams, because it's basically improv with structure.
Right, right. Yeah, so speaking of structure, we do have a doc set up. I pulled together a bunch of stories. I think you grabbed a couple as well. So we're going to go through some different things. I don't know that we'll get through all of them. I want to try and cut this off at 10 p.m. Eastern, so in about 45 minutes from now, I want to cut the stream off and be able to kind of cut clean and go to bed, because I get up early for work. I get up at 4 a.m. Every day. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started on it then, I guess. Unless, Barry, you have anything else you want to kind of talk about or touch on before we get started?
You mentioned as to why it is you're doing your YouTube channel.
Oh, yes.
I'm just kind of doing my YouTube channel for two different reasons. One, fun. I'm enjoying it myself. And two, being I had ordered a computer case at one time, and it said it can do X, Y, and Z. And then I got the case, and I was going to be like, sweet, I can do X, Y, and Z inside. And then it ended up being, I can only do X and Y, or Y and Z, but I can't do all three at once. So that was kind of a letdown. So I kind of wanted to really do a hands-on review of cases and what you can really do with them, because companies might say you can do X, Y, and Z, but what's the truth? Right.
Yeah, you get a lot of that with marketing departments want to kind of pump the products. They care about getting it out the door, and once it's out the door, they don't care anymore. And then that's customer service's problem, right? So you gotta wonder about that stuff sometimes. So it's good to have somebody looking out for the little guy, right? So I like speaking of your case reviews, the one case you did, I think it was like a Pevia or a Pexia, that white case. I think it was a micro ATX.
Yes.
So I've been wanting to do a white build. I want to do a channel themed build and do a white build at some point when I ever can get the money to do it. But I actually really like that case, except for that blue side panel window, the blue tint on it. I think it comes in a couple different colors, but I don't think there was really.
It comes in a good variety of colors:
okay.
Black and green, black and blue, black and red, white and red, pink and red. I mean. Yeah. They got a wider range, and they actually do that on a lot of their cases. Is they have that range of colors you can go through. BitPhoenix also has a few cases like that.
Yeah, so actually I meant to put that in the doc and I didn't. I kept forgetting to grab the article for it that I found. The Portal case that they did, I believe it was BitPhoenix. Have you seen that?
No, I have not. I can quickly pull that up if you want to go on our next story here.
Yeah, actually, just put the link in chat and then I'll pull it up here in a minute. So we're going to talk about the first story real quick. So this is from Ars Technica. Hopefully you guys don't lose the audio whenever I switch scenes here. And so scientists have been able to actually take a spinach leaf and turn it into a sheet of human heart cells. So kind of the cliff notes here, they actually took the spinach leaf and stripped it of all its plant cells, basically making it just a blank piece of cellulose. Can't talk. And then they seeded the outside of it with human heart cells, and then the actual veins inside of it they lined with the same cells that human blood vessels are lined with, and they were able to pump a kind of a blood substitute, I guess. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that Skype link from you without it doing some shenanigans.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that's cool.
There you go.
I can get that pulled up from the live stream chat though. So they were able to actually pump a human. It wasn't actual blood they pumped through it, but they put a blood substitute in there, a blood equivalent, I guess you call it. And over the course, it was a 21-day experiment, and by the end of the experiment, they actually had the heart cells spontaneously beating like a human heart. So yeah, this is
sci-fi to me.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a very early. I guess kind of a very early stage of the experiment, but I mean it's kind of a proof of concept basically that they could essentially go and grow a human heart in this manner to actually grow a replacement heart from somebody, rather than having to rely on transplant lists. Which, if you can grow a heart, I mean obviously they weren't able to grow a full heart within 21 days, but I mean if you can grow a heart within a reasonable amount of time, a few months, right? That's gonna be a huge lifesaver, literally, for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, it'll save tons of lives. There's absolutely no doubt there.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just kind of one of those wonders of science type articles, right? I mean, it's pretty insane. So I think, I actually don't have the live chat open on.
So I put it in our Google Doc. As well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
I kind of put it right underneath our hardware section. I figured that'd be a good time to kind of bring it up.
Okay, so yeah, we can just hold off on that until then. Mm-hmm. I'll go ahead and just, real quick, I'm going to stall for some time for just a second. You want to go ahead and introduce the next article, and I'll get it pulled up here in just a second?
I can introduce the next one, yeah. Which is Dimeny Trojan has been targeting GitHub developers. And from the keynotes, which I can currently read, it's stealing passwords and downloading sensitive files. It's taking some screenshots from your computer, and as well as this, it basically self-destructs itself when it deems necessary, which is very scary. I don't understand how this... I mean, I can get it. It's programming. We can program tons of stuff, but how does it deem when it's necessary?
Right. And so I got the article pulled up here. There's not a lot of fun pictures in this one, so but yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy. So the biggest thing about this isn't the actual malware itself that is scary, right? It's the fact that someone out there is targeting kind of high profile developers that are working on popular open source projects. So it's kind of, okay, what are these guys trying to do? Makes you wonder what they're trying to possibly use to infect, users of these open source projects, right? By getting a look in on what the developers code, the source code and everything, and get their passwords to be able to maybe inject malicious source code into their GitHub page. That can cause a lot of problems for people. So yeah, it's... The way they're actually doing it is through email. So basically they're emailing out, and by some really crafty DNS kind of redirects, from what I understood from the article. Basically they're making it look like you're clicking out to, say, a legitimate Google Docs link, a Google Drive link, but then as soon as it goes to reach out to Google Drive, there's a little bait and switch that happens, and it redirects you to this malicious page where you go and log in, and it delivers a malicious Word document that actually has a PowerShell macro in it that'll run, and then basically just download and execute the actual malware payloads.
Right.
So,
and the PowerShell is hidden inside of that Word document, and it's done just so that it bypasses your firewall by not having those key phrases that would ping your firewall. Right. And yet it knows how to basically construct itself inside once it's past the firewall so that it then has those malicious scripts written.
Yeah, so essentially what happens is there's certain characters, I guess, or certain character combinations that a lot of antivirus and malware detectors will actually completely ignore, and so by encompassing the malicious PowerShell in those characters, they're actually able to bypass a lot of the malware prevention, which, again, it's one of those things that's like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Why is that even a thing? But, yeah, so let's see. I haven't had much of an eye on chat.
So far, it's just me and you. There is 3 people watching, but it's just me and you, and that's okay for now.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself.
Right? Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
And again, we got that. This will be recorded. It'll be archived on my channel, and so you guys can come check it out later.
Yep.
Oh, you know what I forgot to do? We'll take a quick sponsor commercial break, sponsored by Tito Tech Tube. I completely forgot in my intro to mention I hit 99 subs this morning, which was super exciting. So as I kind of stated before, and you know what? I didn't actually put it in the description. Oh my goodness, I'm such a slacker today and every day of my life. So I'm doing a giveaway via Gleam.io for 100 sub celebration because we're at 99 and I'm impatient of, as mentioned yesterday in our other live stream, this potion bottle, 3D printed, custom painted, and it contains a battery bank. 2200 milliamp hour, 5 volt 1 amp output, so it'll charge your iPhone, charge your your Samsung Galaxy S7, whatever you got, via the USB Type A right there, with 2200 milliamp hours of delicious power. So that's going to go up for the giveaway. It's going to be open for 2 weeks. It started tonight at 9 o'clock, so about 30 minutes ago it kicked off. I'm going to put the link in the description and in the chat for the giveaway, so you guys can get signed up for it. And there it is. And so it's going to go for 2 weeks from today. I'll actually announce the winner live in the beginning of the live stream 2 weeks from now.
Okay, cool.
The last time I did a giveaway, I did it at 50 subs, and fun fact, I didn't think about the fact that I closed it at midnight, and I said, hey, I want to do a live stream of who the winner is and announce it live so I can, maybe they'll be there, maybe I can get their reaction, it'll be really cool. And then I realized, oh wait, I gotta stay up until midnight to do this because I have to draw the winner at midnight. And I don't want to draw the winner at midnight again, so I'm going to end it at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on April 12th, I think, is the last day. And just going to add this into the description real quick. So our next topic is going to be... Oh, I did put it in the description already. I'm better than I thought I was. So our next topic is going to jump into 3D printing here. And let me switch over to my screen capture. So the Delage, I guess, Type S, it's a 103-year-old Grand Prix car that was saved by 3D printing. So this is the only surviving car of its kind from 1914. It's the last one, the only one in the world. There's no blueprints. There's no original measurements. No build guides. There's no parts. Right? There's nothing that exists from the original of this car. And so what they actually did was, instead of going old school, and they looked at doing the old school method of actually sitting down and measuring everything out and doing everything with calipers and all, and they were like, it's just too cost prohibitive. There's no way we could do this. And so someone decided, hey, let's take a laser and scan the outside and inside of the engine block, and they actually scanned it all, created a 3D model, and then 3D printed this model and used that to make a sand mold, and then use that sand mold to cast iron forge the block.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which I think is really cool, that we can take something that exists, even though it was broken, and they could 3D scan it and make a new one out of a sand mold. Right. And one of the other things I really liked about this article was why it's the only car left of its kind was because when the war came around, they actually melted down all of the other cars of the Delage Type S into ammunition. So,
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's as far as we know, not just you and I, the writers of the article.
Mhm.
This is the first restoration to a classic, or I guess in this, we're talking a historic vehicle in this case. But this is the first restoration done in this manner, right? So newer cars, it's not unusual to have things 3D printed for prototyping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for something like this and this kind of application, this is a first of its kind in the world. So part of why I wanted to talk about this was that the Midwest Rep Festival was just last weekend, I think, and so Joe Telling, 3D printing nerd, and Barnacles, Jerry, were both there, and they've posted some videos and stuff about it, and done some talking about the festival. And one of the things in one of the interviews they did is talking about how people think that 3D printing is just a hobby, it's just a fad, it's not going to be around for long, right? It's just for goofing around and printing trinkets. I mean, this is proof in the pudding here, right? That it's not just a fad. It's not just a toy. It's not just something for printing, printing low poly Pikachus or printing potion bottles, right? It's actually a useful piece of tech that can enrich lives and make things possible that were previously completely impossible. And it can put that in the hands of normal people. So, again, this is maybe a little bit outside of the everyday person, but again, without this basically would have been impossible. Yeah, there was another way to do it, but it never would have happened because of the cost associated with it.
Yeah.
So get off my soapbox there for a minute, but
No, I think you're right. I think a lot of people think that 3D printing, for the most part, is to make small trinkets, and it's not. I mean, that's what we're using it for the majority as of right now, but there's a lot of other applications and companies out there who are using it for so much more. And so it's great to see that something as far as the 3D printing world is making it out there and saying, hey, it's not just for small toys that you can polish off and raffle off in a Gleam IO. There's more to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Joel says it best. The 3D printing nerd. If you're interested in 3D printing, definitely check him out and check out Maker's Muse. They're kind of my two go-tos for 3D printing stuff. Angus over at Maker's Muse, and but yeah, check them out. So Joel kind of brought up a good point of, okay, yeah, people bring up this thing, hey, all these guys are just printing trinkets, but that's how you learn, is by you get this 3D printer and you start printing. Okay, hey, I found this cool thing on Thingiverse. I'm going to print this Pokeball. I'm going to print this. I can't think of anything other than Pokemon stuff now for some reason. I'm going to print this fidget toy, this fidget spinner, right? I'm going to print a top, whatever it may be. And sometimes you get something useful like a tripod. I'm actually in the process of printing a headphone stand. So this is the first half of it. This took about 8.5 hours. And then the second half's going to take about another 5.5. But that's how you learn, is by, you start doing this stuff, you start figuring out, okay, well, hey, this 3D model doesn't necessarily fit exactly what I want to do. Maybe I could go in and modify this myself, and I've done that a few times. It's kind of gotten me introduced to the world of, kind of going in and doing a little bit of, I hesitate to call it 3D modeling, because all I do is, all I've done really is take stuff that other people have made and modified it. I haven't really ever done a full 3D model of something useful on my own, but I've modified a few to make something useful that I need. One of the instances is this. I'm going to show it on stream. So bottom of my C920 here, you see this hot shoe adapter. So I actually turned it upside down to give it. I needed more height on this. This is a hot shoe adapter that I found on Thingiverse that goes out to a quarter 20 standard tripod mount. So I took that, and I needed some way to mount the shotgun mic to my Canon that I'm actually streaming off of right now, and I couldn't find any good ones on Amazon. I bought one for like $7-8. It was the best one I could find, but it put the mic way off to the side because it was meant for a DSLR, not for this camcorder style Canon. And so what I did was I took that model and I went into 123 Design from Autodesk and just put a cube on it, cut out the center of the cube to the size of the battery on the back of my Canon, so that it would slide over the back of it. So now I have this little adapter piece that slides over the back of the battery on my Canon and attaches my shotgun mic directly over top of the lens, so it points directly at my face instead of pointing 6 or 8 inches off the side of my face. So and it makes it easier so that if I just want to put my hand on the strap and walk around with it and record stuff and film stuff and still have the mic there and it work well, be comfortable to hold and comfortable to use, it works much better now than with that weird attachment hanging off the right hand side of it where my hand was supposed to go, because it screwed into the bottom to the quarter 20 mount on the bottom of the camera, so it blocked that off and it was almost impossible to hold. Again, random tangent, but just kind of an example of how it gets people introduced into first thing I did was I printed a Squirtle, right? It was the first thing I actually printed that wasn't the default file on the printer. And I've printed all kinds of completely useless stuff, but I've done a lot of useful stuff too. So I just want to check chat, make sure there's nobody.
No one.
Well, we can always hope. So I'll go ahead and jump into the next topic here then.
Okay.
So this is going to be from Siemens Corporation. Get your mind out the gutter. So they do a lot of big corporate, crazy things, and so they actually have a Princeton campus that's been working on 3D printed spider bots. And basically the end goal of these spider bots is to have dozens of them, or even more than that of them, be able to communicate with each other wirelessly, collaborate, and actually work together to build or repair things like ship hulls, airplane fuselages, and things like that. So they actually each have a printer nozzle attached to them, just like you would have on your normal 3D printer, like I have on the one to my right over here. And right now they can only print PLA, which is what most people start with, unless you're crazy like me and start with ABS. But they're able to actually communicate with each other and collaborate and know what each other is doing, and so they've gotten it working on a pretty small scale. But the end goal is to get to where they can have hundreds of these things working together to actually 3D print out an entire ship, right? They can do the entire ship hull, and so that reduces waste, it reduces the cost, and it's going to reduce the time, because you can have so many different things working simultaneously towards one goal. So again, just this and the next couple stories are going to be just, or I guess the next story are just all examples of how 3D printing is not just a fad, not just a hobby, not just about printing toys and trinkets. It's about doing something useful and making the world a better place. I feel like I'm doing all the talking and I'm not letting you say anything there.
No, you're doing just fine. So you want me to go on then about this?
Yeah, I mean,
3D printed house.
Sure, yeah. If you want to go ahead and throw some input in there, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next item in which we're going to go over is a 3D printed house, and it's the first 3D printed house in which was printed in 24 hours, and its cost is just under $11,000 with furnishing, with the walls being painted, with refrigerator inside, washer, dryer, and it's like 450 or 400 and something square feet.
410.
Which 410.
Yeah.
Thank you. 410 square feet, which basically means you're coming down to about $25 per square foot. So it's made of concrete, and what they do is a big 3D printer, is putting down a whole slab of concrete. And so while it's putting down all the concrete, some workers will put reinforcements for the walls, insulation for the walls. They'll put in pipes and tubing. That way they can go back in and then put the necessary wiring or tubing that they need for electricity and water and other utilities that you're going to need. And so the great thing about this is, yes, that right there is with additive manufacturing, you are only using the materials in which you need to build this house, meaning that you're not going to have a bunch of waste. You're not going to need all of this other stuff in order to get the house going. Yeah, I really like that picture.
Yeah.
I really like how it shows the raw materials are seriously just being put straight into the house.
Yep.
Versus the traditional way, which is you have the raw materials, you have the factory then that take the raw materials and make it into the refined materials that you need, and then you need the tools, and then you need a construction team, and then you have a house in waste.
Right.
So
yeah, and that's the thing. It's not just the fact that it's additive, right? So the big thing they call out is that it's an additive process. So you don't have the things that you need a 16-foot 2x4, and then you cut it to 14 foot in that other 2-foot piece. Well, there's nowhere else in the house that'll fit. We throw it out. There's that component to it. There's also, when you look at this chart, look at how much stuff is cut out of this. That big factory, just all the, and again, you kind of get into. Maybe we're tipping into the territory of, okay, robot revolution and taking away jobs and everything.
Right.
But, I mean, look at how much money is saved. So, yeah, you can make an argument against jobs lost versus lower cost of livings, right? But still,
right.
Look how much money would be saved in this process just by this one machine. You take out 2 or 3 different components of the process, and you kind of almost cut the middleman out of it, right? and
you cut really, a couple middlemans out,
yeah. And so you take the raw materials, you dump them straight into this machine. You only have a couple people to operate the machine and maintain it, and now you're able to build the house that you need with a much. I won't throw out random percentages because I hate made up percentages, but you cut out
a good chunk.
Excuse me, yeah. You cut out a huge factor of the effort that originally went into that, which again translated into lower cost and lower waste. So it's just one of those things that it's a win-win-win-win, right? There's no loss here other than perhaps some jobs, but even when you look at it that way, you're lowering cost of living, and you can make the argument that we're going to lose jobs in this part, but that's going to open up jobs in other places. New things are going to come up.
You have to have someone who hauls this equipment around now. You're also going to have someone who is going to operate this equipment and make sure that it keeps operating, maintenance for the equipment. And again, though, I don't see this making, like right now it's a prototype. And they since it's a prototype, it's not a huge thing. It's not making a 2-story house. It made a 410 square foot house. It was circular, and it was done within 24 hours. I think, to me, that says a lot. It's under 11,000. It was done in 24 hours, and this is a prototype. So if they were to redefine and amp this thing up, they probably could make a 2-story house given 3 days, And part of that time was furnishing and painting, and it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane, the things that can be accomplished, really. I mean, when you sit down and look at where we are today versus where we were 10 or 15 years ago. And so one of the things I do want to bring up, I think it's mentioned in one of the articles, and we didn't really touch on it, is people, I think a lot of people, one of the big misconceptions is that 3D printing is a new technology. It's really not. I think 1986 was the first 3D printer. It was actually an SLA printer. So whereas this house was printed in kind of a fused deposition, I think is what it's called. I should know this better, but you're laying a layer of material on top of each other over and over and over again to create something. And that's the way that most people think of a 3D printer, is like my WANHAL over here. It extrudes hot plastic one small layer at a time on top of each other. The original 3D printer was actually the SLA printers. Again, we have this today too, where you take a liquid resin, shoot a laser or a DLP projector light at it to cure the resin layer by layer as it lifts up out of a vat, right? And so only recently has that become an affordable way to do 3D printing, right? It's starting to become affordable now, but that's been around a lot longer than people think it has. In fact, I forget which article it was that pointed out, and it was one of those, like, I remember that, one of those things, right? And it was Toy Soldiers, that 90s movie, if anybody remembers that. It actually featured in the beginning of it, it was kind of like Toy Story, but, like, they were all, like, G.I. Joe level, like, and trying to kill humans. So it was kind of like Toy Story meets, like, Decepticons. But yeah, so in the introduction of that, they were 3D printing the toy soldiers And
Oh.
yeah, so it's actually in an early '90s movie. This 3D printing was actually featured in a much obviously Hollywoodized version of it, where it happened in like a matter of seconds, but still. All right, so I think that's going to cover. Unless you got anything else to add, Dad Bear?
No, not for that one.
Okay, so we've got hardware. We're going to talk about next. So we're going to get back into the PC space, and this one I'm actually kind of excited about because I'm really into like these super small form factor stuff. I kind of wish some of these super small form factor specialty things would just like release the cases in the wild, though. Wish you could get just a case with no hardware. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I was looking at the price of this, and it's kind of spendy, but
a little bit. Yeah, it's honestly not that bad. You're paying a little bit of a premium, but you're gonna get manufacturer warranty. There's arguments to be made either way, right? But anyhow, so this is the MSI Trident 3, so not a new piece of hardware. The Trident 3 has been out for a little bit, but in a 1060 form. So they're releasing a limited edition white model featuring a GTX 1070. So it's going to have the Core i7 7700, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 2x8 kit, H110 motherboards. It's using the last generation of the Intel motherboard, but it's a Lux-Q processor, and most people probably aren't going to open this up to put an Optane drive in.
No.
And nobody should. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, so, you get a 256 gig M.2 SSD, which I don't know if it's an NVMe or a SATA SSD. I don't think it mentions here.
It's an M.2 SSD?
It's M.2, but I don't know if it's running SATA speeds or NVMe speeds. And a terabyte 7200 RPM hard drive. And again, it doesn't mention whether it's a desktop 3.5 inch. I have a feeling it's a 2.5 inch, given the form factor of this thing. It's probably a laptop.
Probably, yeah.
Laptop drive. But yeah, I mean, it's so they had to bump the PSU up to a 330 watt, so it's gonna have probably a bigger power brick to it, because you see it uses like more of a laptop style power brick, because you can't fit a PSU in that case. And it's using a custom built Mini ITX GTX 1070 to fit the smaller form factor. So you'll notice, I don't know if you'll be able to see on the image here, it says VR link over here by this HDMI port. So essentially what you can do is you can take an HDMI cable, plug it in this 1070, and then plug it into the VR link, if I understand the article correctly, and then that gives you access to the HDMI on the front for if you have a Vive or a Rift that you want to set up on it. So it can be kind of a living room VR HTPC gaming machine. So it's gonna MSRP at $1,500 USD, which again you could probably build a 7700 with a 1070 for a lot cheaper than that. Probably $300
for $1,100.
Yeah, I was gonna guess about $350-$400 less. So yeah, you can spend a significantly lower amount of money on it. You're probably not gonna make anything this small though. So one thing to factor in. And number two, I don't know what the warranty. Oh no, I just messed that up. I closed it.
Oh no.
I don't know what the warranty was on that they're offering on it. I didn't see it, but I also didn't look that hard for it, to be honest. But you're going to have a manufacturer warranty that covers the entire device, rather than having to deal with individual manufacturer warranties for each component, which is, for some people, a pretty big benefit.
Yeah.
And then you've of course got the RGBs on the case on this strip up here on the what would be the front left if it's laying down, top right if it's standing up. You've got some RGB LEDs. I don't remember if there's anything that lights up this grill on the top of it, where the GPU sits. I feel like there was on the original Trident 3, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so I just thought that was a neat piece of hardware. I thought that was kind of cool. Again, to get something with that much power and that tight of a package is pretty awesome.
No, that is definitely a lot of power inside a very small package indeed. And I think that's very cool. I did post a link to a PC part picker list that I just quickly threw together, which has all the same specs as that case, and it goes for about $1,100. But I mean, if you need something that is small, and that thing looks portable. I mean, that thing looks just as portable as an Xbox One or PlayStation would be. And so if that's what you're into and you need, then more power to you.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the dimensions here, it's 13, basically 13 and a half by 9 by a little under 3 inches. I mean, this thing is tiny. I think even the smallest mini ITX cases are still hitting like 15 inches, and I don't think I've seen anything narrower than like 4 or 5 inches. Maybe like I think like the lower range of 5 inches as far as how narrow it is. I mean, this thing's under 3 inches. It's 2.83 inches in width. I mean, that's insane. That is a very small device for how much horsepower you're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's small form factor like Dell and Lenovo, like what do you call them? Like white box PCs, right? The small form factor, like white box or whatever the term.
Desktop.
Yeah.
Office desktops.
Yeah. So back in like the 90s, they called them white box. Because they used to all come with those beige cases.
They were all white.
Yeah.
And
hey,
look, still in my nightmares.
Full circle, we're back to white. So yeah, I mean, this is smaller than what you would get with that with a full-size PCI slot. There's always had those half-light slots in them. So I mean, I don't know. This really impresses me, to be perfectly honest, and I would love to get my hands on one. So MSI, hey, hi, send me one, please. It's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, I would love to go over it.
Yeah, I mean, Bear,
I will ship it back to you.
Right? Bear does case reviews. Send one out to him. Let me use it when he's done, and I promise you'll get it back at some point. So Nintendo GameTube jumped in and he's talking to us a little bit. He's asking what he missed. So we've covered a few topics here about 3D printing and some interesting science topics.
Yep.
Definitely check it out. It's going to be archived on my channel, so you can go catch up on whatever you missed later tonight or tomorrow. And for now, we're just going to go ahead and keep moving forward. We've got about 10 more minutes left, and I think about 8 more topics, if I'm guesstimating. So I'm going to try and blow through the rest of these. I am a very long-winded person, so
if that's the case, shall we skip a couple items and get back to them later, or? Yeah,
so I mean, I think if we skip something, we may just skip them all together, but that's okay. So I'm just going to kind of blow through a couple of these next hardware items.
Okay.
Just to kind of get them done.
And I have a little passion towards the right to repair bill.
Oh yeah. So something's playing audio that I'm hearing back in my headset. Oh wait, I think I found it.
It's probably a tab.
It is. Oh my goodness. Oh, I hate you, PC World. I can't stop it. I can't stop it.
Oh no.
Okay.
Well, the good thing is it cannot be heard by our audience. So.
I guess that's true because I'm not capturing desktop audio. I'm specifically capturing the Skype audio from you, so they shouldn't be hearing that. Okay, good. So it's just annoying me. Yeah, accidentally smart. That's the way I like to do it. All right, so real quick, Gamers Nexus, great guys. Check out Steve on the Gamer Nexus YouTube channel. He is way smarter than I am about all this stuff. I think he's probably just below Wendell on intelligence level with PC hardware. Maybe they're on equal playing field. I don't know. Oh my goodness, what did I just do? Oh no. Oh, hopefully this doesn't show up on the stream because that's embarrassing, and I can't stop it. It won't go away. I accidentally turned on the magnifier because I dummied and I hit the wrong button when I tried to zoom in on the article. You may see that on the stream in a second, there, Bear.
Yep.
So Intel released their Optane memory for consumer. So they already released. Or it hasn't released yet. They've announced it. I'm sorry. They've announced Optane for consumer. It comes out, I believe, April 24th. Yeah, it ships April 24th in M.2 style sticks. They've already released it for enterprise. So these are meant to be caching, front side caching for like a hard disk drive. So we've kind of already seen this done before with M.2 just regular SSDs. But the latency on SSDs is too high. Excuse me. For that to really be super useful. Cliff Notes version, Optane, way faster memory speeds and way lower latency. Still probably kind of stupid to use versus just getting an SSD. So if you guys want to check out more, check out the Gamers Nexus article. After the stream, I'll put the links to all the articles in the description so you guys can check them out on your own time. GTX 1080 Ti is going to this particular model, Colorful, which is a Chinese manufacturer, so they may be hard to get a hold of in the States, is skipping RGB, and they're actually putting an LCD display on the cooler shroud. So it's going to display some, useful stuff like your clock speed, GPU usage, current temperature, and fan status are all things that are options to be shown. I think you can only pick one at a time to be seen because it's not a huge LCD display on it. But I thought that was kind of interesting. Someone actually doing something useful. So I've seen some manufacturers thing on the AMD side. I don't know if I saw any on NVIDIA ever do it, where they put the LEDs on there and they would light them up in a sequence to tell you how much GPU load there was. I always thought that was stupid. This is actually interesting because it will at least give you useful feedback data, and especially if you're like, if you only have a single monitor and you want to like, okay, hey, how high is my 1080 Ti boosting during this game, and is it starting to lower down because of thermals? You can actually monitor that by checking out the side panel on your case instead of having to have a second monitor. So right to repair bill. Bear, I'll say something about it real quick, and then I'll let you pop in. Basically, all I'm going to say is kind of echo what Steve said here, that the Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, basically everybody, even Ford and auto manufacturers are trying to kind of get in on this, and John Deere, one of the, I think, the worst offenders of this, one of the worst anyways, all think that they can sell you something and then tell you that essentially that item is copyrighted and you're not allowed to open it and do anything with it, because then you could steal all their IP and run them out of business. Bear, I'll go ahead and let you, since you seem like you've already got fired up.
That is exactly right. So basically what they're doing is, let's just say that they're selling you a car, right? Microsoft and Sony, they're selling you a car, and what they do is, oh man, this car looks beautiful, and they go, that's great. Now we're going to weld the hood shut so that you can't repair it yourself, and tell you that you have to come right back to us if you ever need anything repaired. And if you unweld it, then you're not covered anymore by warranty, because who knows what intellectual property you've stolen from us. Which is, to me, just an absolute joke. I mean, you might already see on a lot of devices there are those warranty stickers where they have the screws hidden underneath the sticker. That way you have to break the sticker in order to open it up, and that voids the warranty, which actually goes against our current U.S. laws. But these companies have worded things just right to make it more of a protection of their IP and for the safety of both the consumer, you, and the manufacturer, them. So that just, grinds me a little wrong.
Right. So, essentially, and of course, Apple's been trying to do stuff like this for a long time with things like tying your, so the Touch ID sensor, the fingerprint sensor on the iPhones were actually hardware locked to the device itself. So if you tried to repair one yourself, replace it yourself, then it would actually brick the device. Eventually they overturned that. They released an iOS update that fixed that. But it's just little things like that. I think the 4S it was, ever since then they haven't done it, but the 4S was literally glued shut. There was no good way to really take it apart.
Right.
So, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last topic in hardware today is going to be... so the last fully hardware topic anyways, I think I put the next one in gaming, but it's kind of hardware, is the PC building simulator. So these guys developed a PC building simulator to kind of teach novices, teach people who are unfamiliar with PC building, how to do it without having to actually get their hands dirty with the hardware. So if you don't have money to buy it, or you're still trying to figure out what you want, you can kind of get a dry run experience of doing a PC build through the simulator. So this is, I think, what they're calling a pre-alpha. The writer of the article calls it more of a proof of concept than anything else. But it's interesting nonetheless, and definitely on the road to being something extremely helpful for a lot of people. Again, I'll put the link to that in the description after the stream is over, so you guys can check it out. I probably should have linked these all beforehand, but,
I think one of the cool things about this building a PC sim is going to be great for is exactly what I'm doing, which is you can take a case, and you can go, okay, I want this case, but does this graphics card fit in there?
Right.
And because they have all the measurements down to a T, you should be able to figure out, oh yeah, this does fit in here, or oh no, it doesn't fit in here.
Right. It's kind of like PC Part Picker on steroids, a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So right now I know that they have a small selection of parts that you can go through, but I mean, if it keeps going, it might be unlimited.
Right, yeah, so I mean, definitely check it out, support the guys who are doing it, because it's going to be an extremely useful tool, and it's definitely got some potential. So our next topic is going to be on Ryzen. So, kind of the, a trigger word for some people, I guess. So, Ashes of the Singularity, so one of the biggest things is 1080p gaming performance with Ryzen, right? Everybody's talking about how it's a failure because, not everybody, but a lot of people said it's a failure because it loses to a 7700K in 1080p gaming performance. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of why that's not really a smart argument, but one of the things that AMD came out and said was, well, there's some optimizations that are going to need to happen because... And actually, game developers have started saying this, that, for the past 5+ years, everything's been optimized for Intel and the way Intel runs. So, Ryzen runs a little differently because it's AMD's technology. It's a new technology. It runs kind of similar to the way the old Core 2 Duos used to run, because what you actually have is two packages of cores, basically almost two CPUs on one die. It's basically the way Ryzen is set up. So there's a little bit of crosstalk that has to happen between those two chips on the die, so you can get a little bit of latency if things aren't really scheduled in a way that takes advantage of the setup that AMD has on these chips. So, long and short of it is, Ashes of Singularity released an update to optimize Ryzen performance. It had absolutely zero effect on Intel performance. Intel performed exactly the same before and after. I read a couple of articles that confirm this. We're looking at the PC Per article with Ryan Shrout here. And if you actually scroll down here a little bit, we'll look at this Ashes of Singularity exclamation 1080p performance, and you'll see that in blue here is the old version, and orange is the updated version, and you can see the i7-6900K in Extreme performed exactly the same. The 1800X running 3200 megahertz DDR4, so he comments on here as well that he was able to get higher speed memory running on this with a different RAM kit and the latest BIOS on their Crosshair 6 motherboard. And so, not only did he get a bit of a performance boost from the 3200 megahertz RAM, he also got a performance boost from a pretty huge one from the optimizations in Ashes to Singularity. So just below this chart, it actually shows you what the deltas are. So in Extreme, running 2400 megahertz RAM, he got a 17% boost. On Extreme, running 3200 megahertz RAM, he got a 20% boost. And then on High, he got a 22% boost on the slower speed RAM and a 31% boost in performance on high settings, 1080p, running 3200 megahertz RAM. So it's still not quite, it's still a couple of 2-3 FPS behind the 6900K in the gaming performance, but again, a chip like this isn't solely about gaming performance. If that's all you're worried about, get a 7700K if all you want to do is game. If you want to be able to game, stream, and record, and multitask, do more than one thing at a time. Basically, if you want to render videos, if you want to do anything above gaming, get the Ryzen chip, because price per dollar right now it can't be beat. Yep. Bottom line of it, and this just kind of goes to show that yes, there are things that the game developers can do to optimize for Ryzen that won't harm Intel performance and will close that gap between the two. So this is actually very promising. This actually is one of the things that kind of excites me a little bit to see.
And this is just the first released optimization of Ryzen. So, right. I mean, think about how much of a performance that they can get in the next release. And then you think about how far they came from at the very beginning to where they're going to be. So, like you said, that was a 30% boost just on Ashes of Singularity, just from the first release of optimization. So,
right, exactly.
And I'm not falling asleep, Nintendo. I'm not going to start juggling my cat. I was reading the notes.
So, real quick, I'm going to touch on this because this is a pretty quick and easy one. Nintendo Switch vertical mode was found in Neo Geo games. So, the Virtual Console Neo Geo re-releases, someone on YouTube found that there was actually a vertical mode option. The writer of this article has confirmed it with a different title. And so, theory is that all of them will likely come in with this same vertical mode. And the reason this is a big deal is for older games that were actually originally developed for an arcade were developed to run at a 7:9 aspect ratio, and then were converted for 4:3 televisions, and so essentially caused a lot of stretching in the pixels. So for purists of arcade games, it's not a pure experience, but being able to do a vertical mode with the 3DS, or not 3DS, the Nintendo Switch will actually give a more pure experience for arcade purists. So just kind of a neat thing that someone found that was kind of cool to mention. And I'm actually going to skip around a little bit because we have another Nintendo Switch story. Someone actually took their dead Nintendo 64 and turned it into a retro Switch dock, which is pretty awesome. So they didn't just Dremel the thing out and shove the Switch in it. They actually took their dock apart, put all the hardware inside of it, which it's just one controller board. And it looks like they added some extensions to put USB ports on the front of the N64 where the controller ports used to be, and actually made a fully functional dock out of their old Nintendo 64.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty awesome. A little bit of VR news. HTC has released full body tracking code and Vive trackers for body tracking. There's some YouTube videos if you search. And there goes an auto roll ad again. If you search, you'll be able to find some video of of developers actually testing out with these trackers, and it's pretty ridiculous. So they've already given away 1,000 trackers to developers, and they're working on giving out more. So this is going to give a whole new level of immersion to VR, and maybe at least a partial solution to the locomotion issue that exists in VR, where it's like, okay, how do you move around from place to place, in a way that's natural, right?
Yeah. And not only that, but it'll be able to tell, well, are you just bending down, or are you laying down, or are you standing straight, or are you standing at an angle?
Right.
Because before, it can only really track your hand controllers, and then your help me, the
headset
itself.
Yeah, the HMD.
So as soon as they can do your hands, your head, and perhaps your hips, it'll realize, okay, they're laying down, they're sitting down, they're crouching, they're, leaning over trying to reach something. I think they'll be able to do a whole lot more with the games.
Right, and I mean, kind of if you think about it, one of the low-hanging fruit things here is, okay, FPS, just leaning around a corner, right? Leaning around cover to take a shot. Simple stuff like that is going to be way easier to accurately track and give you a much more granular movement ability,
right, in
those situations. And so this was one that you put up, so I'll go ahead and let you talk about Destiny 2 coming out for PC.
Destiny 2 is coming out for PC. I believe it's also coming out for some of the other consoles as well, but I believe that the beta is just locked down to the PC. Don't quote me on that. Instead, you can go to www.destinythegame.com and see for yourself. They have a lot of teases that had recently came out, and then just today, they actually came out with the trailer, they're calling it. I don't know if I'd call it a trailer. There's no gameplay, but it's definitely getting all of the Destiny fans or Bungie fans hyped up, and everyone's hopping on the train. I haven't played Destiny in a long while, but I'm hopping on that train again.
Yeah, so I just buzzed through a couple of the shots from, we'll call it a teaser, since there's no actual gameplay in there. And I didn't
that's the teaser.
So I didn't actually read anything on this one, but Battlefront 2 is planned to be revealed at next month's Star Wars celebration. So just something to keep an eye out for. So yeah, I never owned Battlefront, but I did play the beta of Battlefront, and I thought it was super
fun.
awesome. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. So it'll be kind of cool to see Battlefront 2. Maybe I'll actually be able to pick this one up. We'll see. We already talked about that one. And the last thing to talk about is, since Barry here does case reviews, and we kind of brought this up, talking about this earlier before the stream,
yeah.
the Portal case from BitPhoenix. So, from what I understand, this was actually inspired by the Portal torrents in Portal, right? In
Yeah,
Valve's
that's what I
Portal
was
game.
looking at. And I don't know if you've played Portal or not, yay, nay?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this thing looks pretty KA and or BA or however you want to put it. It really looks like a freaking turret that you would find in Portal. I'm watching you.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So there's a couple different colors. They got black and white and windowed and non-windowed versions. So the window's actually up top on this case. And the way it's mounted, so I believe it's Mini ITX if I remember correctly. Yeah, Mini ITX. And the whole interior of the chassis basically pulls out from the rear to build in, and then you kind of put the shell kind of back over top of it to put it back together. So it's kind of interesting the way it comes apart. Pretty neat, gives you a lot of flexibility, and it looks like it'll probably be fairly easy to build in because of that, because you have a lot more room to breathe when you're trying to put the build together. And essentially your GPU ends up in the top of the case, sitting right below the window. So you'll get a good look at your GPU. So you want to pick something that looks really nice. And I've got up here the kind of ventilation. The way it works is that the outer edges of where the frame kind of comes together are supposed to be the intakes, and then everything's going to be built to exhaust out the rear I/O, essentially, from what it looks like. So it's going to be an extremely positive positive pressure friendly case.
And these cases are for sale right now, and they're going at about $140. $140, and these are for Mini ITX computers. So
yeah, it's a little steep, and I do feel like that the Mini ITX cases do seem to have a little bit of a premium because they're kind of the in thing right now.
Yes,
is to get those compact builds on, and so the compact cases are kind of at a premium. But
they're getting a lot of traction. There's definitely a lot of people who are going from, I want this big beefy case on my desk to I want a small footprint, but I want it to be just absolutely powerful.
Right. Yeah, so that's that should be all the news topics we had for today. So that's it. We're out of things to talk about.
We're out of things to talk about. Well, we are we a few minutes over our stream?
We're about 10 minutes over, but that's
about 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's not too bad. It's better than I expected to be. I didn't expect to actually get through all the topics, and we got through every single one of them that was in the doc, and we even added one at the last minute.
Yeah. So awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, BitPhoenix, send us both a case. We'll share it. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I need a case. I need a board. I need give me all this stuff to put in it as well.
Yeah. So BitPhoenix send us the case and send us some hardware to shove in it, and we'll get between us we have about 185 subscribers or something like that. We'll get all of them to buy one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we have that much influence.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got it in with Bitwit Kyle and Paul's Hardware, so.
Yeah, they know me. They've shouted my name out on live stream before. When is that gonna ever die down? Probably never.
Yeah. So, quick announcement before we go off. I have hit 101, so I officially have over 100 subs. Holy moly. So whoever's on the stream right now, I encourage you to go check out Bear's channel, get subscribed to him. He has some really awesome content. He's a cool guy. He's fun to talk with, and hopefully you guys will see that. We're going to do this every Thursday from now on at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I cannot talk whenever it gets this late at night. And this is going to be a weekly thing. Next week it'll be on his channel, so make sure you get subbed to him so you get the notifications. And go follow him on Twitter. You're at IfThatsTheCase, if I remember right.
If That's the Case.
And I'm at TitoTechTube. Follow me on Twitter so you guys get all the notifications. And every once in a while I say some interesting stuff that other people like, and I've had Paul respond to a couple of my tweets before, so that was super exciting. He seems to be pretty responsive to people, actually.
Yeah, Paul was actually the one who responded to me first about the package I sent him.
Oh, okay.
And then Kyle's wife, or wifey sauce, was the second, and I'm like, all right, well, you two get dibs.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, he clearly Kyle is a delegator. All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for subbing to my channel. Make sure you go sub to Bear, though. Go check out If That's the Case on YouTube. He is in the description below. I've also got both of our Twitters in the description below and the Gleam.io link in the description below. Get signed up for the giveaway. It's going to go on for 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now on the live show, I will announce the winner live on air. So make sure you stick around for that as well. And Barry, you got anything else to add before we sign off?
If you Discord, don't forget to check out our Discord servers. I don't know if they're in our description or not. I definitely have my Discord server in most of my videos. And just feel free to hit up the Discord server, chat. I mean, it's a pretty open, welcoming community so far. There is both the tech and gaming side of it. And yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so I'll add those to the description. I don't think I added them. I got the event set up while I was at work earlier today, so I was trying to do it quick and dirty like. But yeah, so I'll add those to the description, so if you're watching this as the record, I doubt you made it the whole hour in, but if you did, thanks for sticking around, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, get sub to Bear. We got to get Bear over 100 subs now. Where are you at now? You're at 85?
84.
84? 85? I haven't looked at your channel today, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. 84 last I saw.
Yeah, so 84 subs. So we need 60 more people over there on Bear's channel. We gotta get him over 100. Get him that custom URL. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you again next Thursday. Be sure to be on the lookout for my next video coming out on Saturday. Bear, do you have a schedule for your next video?
Hopefully Saturday.
Okay, cool. So I try and do mine every Tuesday and Saturday, just so you guys know. Every Tuesday I do a How To Tuesday. I just started that, so I've only done 2 so far of officially being How To Tuesdays. Funny story, I noticed one day that, hey, every Tuesday I'm doing a How To video completely by accident. I'm going to call it How To Tuesday. So guys, hashtag it How To Tuesday. Hit me up on Twitter if you have any recommendations or anything you'd like to see on How To Tuesday. At some point I'm going to do a case review for Bear to host on his channel, and Bear, hopefully you'll have a How To video maybe that you want to host a How To Tuesday for me.
Yeah, maybe.
Alright, cool. So we'll talk about that more offline. Guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for stopping by. It's Johnny O and Bear signing off.
Good night.
Awkward stop stream.